Hard Candy es una película que tiene un poco más de 15 años, que nos mostró todo el talento que tenía Elliot Page cuando todavía no lo conocíamos. Hablé con su diseñador de producción, con Jeremy Reed, que me contó cómo fue descubrir a este actor en esa edad tan pero tan joven y cómo fue para él trabajar en una película muy pero muy oscura, siendo la primera que hizo, porque no solo fue la primera para él, sino también para el director David Slade, que lo podemos conocer por ejemplo de Bandersnatch o del capítulo de Black Mirror Metalhead. Hablamos sobre las influencias de la película y algunos detalles, algunas cuestiones que tienen que ver con secretos, algunos conocidos y otros no tanto, sobre cómo se hizo este peliculón llamado Hard Candy.
We now return to Mira Akien and Contré with our latest interview.
Elliot is always, when I think of that film, I think of him. I just do. I think of him in his red hoodie. Can't help it. And it's due to the strength of the poster that was designed for the film. You know, it's the back of Elliot. That's always in my mind.
It's just so easy to blame a kid.
Who are you?
Playtime is over.
I know they went through a lot for the casting to find the right man and the right girl, and they nailed it. Yeah. And I think it's the chemistry of those two. And maybe if it had been, two other people, maybe it wouldn't have been the same. The producer on the movie was a guy called David Higgins, yes. And he was watching some 2020 show or something, the story goes, and it was about those Japanese schoolgirls and what they were doing. And it inspired this whole, the whole thing about the predator. Who really is the predator? Those girls are the predator. And in this case, you think it's going to be him. It's not, it's her. It's turning the tables. Now, you got to understand, though, the budget on this film was very low.
Yeah.
And that was the only, really low. And the story behind that is that David was at a party somewhere and he met Mr. Allen from Microsoft. And they got talking. And he asked him, how much would it cost to make a movie? And I think David just blurted out $1 million. I can do a movie for $1 million. Well, he got it. He got that million. I think he got 999,999. And we went and made it. And just the subject matter. Now, you got to remember, coming from music videos, the great charm about them back in the day was they were a blank slate. They were a canvas that you could do whatever you wanted. In those days, when you did a music video, there were some words on a piece of paper. It's the red room, it's the green room. And it was left up to the production designer. You got the job based on your imagination. They went with the most imaginative, I'm going to do this. And David allowed the same thing to occur there. He allowed me to be imaginative and read into the story the way I felt compelled to do and create that world. And, people don't, that is not a location. We built that on, that set was all built on stage, the house. And we built it in a week because we had no money. And I think I prepped the entire movie in 9 days because there was no money. And I made up names on the crew because I had no money to hire people. So I made up people's names to make it look like I had a bigger crew and just did the work myself. I know, it's crazy. Like somebody would come and work for an hour and I say, fine, you're the set decorator now. And then I put them, and in the credits, there's this big long list of a big long art department. Most of them average, an hour to a couple of hours on the film. And it was just, I was trying to make it look bigger than it really was, a bigger spectacle.
What the fuck are you doing? Living in a house filled with pictures of half-naked teenage girls.
Patrick Wilson's character, so he's a photographer. So he's a hip photographer. He has a house in the Hollywood Hills. He's doing okay. He's got a nice house, so it's a Hollywood Hills house. We decided it had to have a mid-century vibe because that would have been what he would have lived in. Okay, nothing traditional, just mid-century, which also helps me. It helps me with the costs of building because everything's very simple. The walls are simple, and it's brick, etc. And it made sense. Yo Williams had a great idea, and it was how to get from room to room, how to go through a wall. Okay, and it meant the camera would be on a dolly, and it would head towards the wall, and just before it hit the wall would swing on a hinge and open. So it wasn't like you were morphing through a wall opening up. The the wall was moving on a hinge. So that entire house, I built all the walls 3 inches off the floor. So dolly track could go underneath each wall, and the walls were all hinged. So we could move into the rooms, seamlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously red played a big part because that was the arc of the narrative, his tendencies, Red's very passionate color. And also I used skin tones in his bedroom because of his sickness, because of what he did to girls. And he was sick. So we used flesh tones in the bedroom. Yeah. Deliberately.
Janet, get the fuck off of me! Please untie me and let me go! Please! Please don't cut me, please!
I mean, obviously the scene that blows everyone away is the castration scene.
Yeah.
People hide under the couch, behind the couch, under a table. I mean, I don't think I wasn't even prepared for that one. You can read it on paper and you can see the words, but crikey. Yeah. That was quite something.
And how did you choose how much of the castration you were going to show us?
Just good taste. Yeah. And this, the more that is left to the imagination, it's stronger that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like shock horror will never have the same strength as a turn of the screw horror, where it's all up there.
What about Patrick? I read that he passed out while doing that scene tied up to the chair because the ropes were too tight. So
no comment, Frederick.
And there's this website, unixquestions.com. Unix is EUNUCHS. I had a lot of trouble with that, but it gives great advice.
I mentioned you on the email Misery, and I mentioned you Red
Riding Hood.
Red Riding Hood. I have it in Spanish. It's quite different, that name. But you have like those two different influences on the movie. Do you work with them? Did you try to stay away from them?
Okay, I'm all right, and I'm excited. I mean, you bring this up, and it's fantastic because Misery. No, there wasn't. And I understand the hood. Her wearing her hood and running off at the end of the movie into the woods. And the incredible poster that they did with the bear trap, obviously the whole Red Riding Hood connotations. Yeah, I think they were there for David, less so for me. I approached that film in a very architectural way. And I was driven by the architecture. That was not so much story such as Red Riding Hood, and Misery. No, it was very much an architecturally driven film. And that's where I was getting all my source from and my inspiration from.
What can you tell me about the hoodie? The hoodie that I mentioned, that it was orange, and then you changed it in post-production so it was red. Is that correct?
Possibly.
Because
you want to take all the fun out of everything.
You look older than you are. You certainly act older than you are.
Really?
And the young, he's Elliot now. Elliot Page was a completely unknown, blew everyone away. And Patrick Wilson was fantastic. Very, very lucky. David's great, great director, was wonderful DP, Yo Willems. So it just, I guess everything worked.
Now it's time to wake up.